Today, we are going on a journey. We're zooming in way past what the naked eye can see to explore the one thing that connects every single living creature on this planet. We're talking about the fundamental building block of all biology, the cell, the basic unit of life itself.
So let's start with a really big question. You know, when you look at a rock versus, say, a bird, you just know one is alive and one isn't. But what's the actual dividing line? What's the secret ingredient that a living thing has that an inanimate object just doesn't?
Well, the answer is so simple, it's actually kind of profound. It's the cell. This one thing, this tiny organized package, is the basic unit of life. It's the feature that unites everything, from a microscopic bacterium all the way up to a giant blue whale.
Okay, so what's the official definition? A cell is the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living organisms. But here's the part that'll really blow your mind. It means that a single complete cell is the absolute smallest thing that we can consider to be truly alive. You can have all the right molecules, all the right parts, but if they're not organized into a cell, you don't have life. It's the whole package or nothing.
Now, this amazing realization didn't just appear out of nowhere. Oh no, it was built on centuries of observation by some really brilliant people. And it led to some universal rules that govern every single cell on Earth. The whole story was pieced together bit by bit. So, in 1838, a scientist named Matthias Schleiden was looking at plants and had a breakthrough. Wait a minute, all plants are made of cells. Then, just 1 year later, Theodor Schwann looked at animals and realized the exact same thing. Suddenly, the entire living world of plants and animals was unified by this one incredible idea. But there was still one question left. Where do new cells come from? That final piece of the puzzle was solved in 1855 by Rudolf Virchow, who famously declared omni cellula est cellula, which means simply all cells arise from pre-existing cells.
And all of that work brings us to what we now call the modern cell theory. And it's really just boiled down to these two beautiful, elegant points. Number one, all living things are made of cells. And number two, all cells come from other cells. These two ideas, they are the absolute bedrock of all modern biology.
Okay, so while all life is made of cells, it turns out that nature has two fundamentally different blueprints for how to build one. Let's take a look at those now.
On one side, you have the prokaryotic cells. Think small, think simple, think bacteria. Their DNA just kind of floats around inside. They don't have a true nucleus, and they're missing all those other complex little membrane-bound compartments that we call organelles. Then, on the other side, you have the eukaryotic cells. These are the cells that make up plants, animals, you, me. They have a true nucleus, like a safe for their DNA, and they are packed with all sorts of specialized organelles. This makes them way larger and much more complex. That nucleus, that's really the key difference.
But for all their differences, there is one great unifier, a piece of machinery found in every single cell on this planet, prokaryotic and eukaryotic, and that's the ribosome. It's not wrapped in a membrane, and its job is absolutely crucial. Ribosomes are the protein factories, and literally every form of life needs proteins to function. They're the one thing we all have in common. Now, since we humans are made of eukaryotic cells, let's just shrink ourselves down and take a quick tour inside one of these bustling, complex little cities of life.
You see, a lot of the organelles inside a eukaryotic cell don't just float around doing their own thing. They work together as a team in what's called the endomembrane system, and you can think of it just like a coordinated assembly line. It all starts at the endoplasmic reticulum, or the ER. That's the factory floor where proteins and lipids get made. From there, the products are sent over to the Golgi complex, which is like the packaging and shipping department. It sorts everything, packages it up, and sends it where it needs to go. And finally, you have lysosomes and vacuoles, which are like the cell's waste disposal and storage centers. It's an incredible, perfectly integrated system.
But hold on. All of this amazing internal complexity, this whole bustling factory, is only possible because of one critical structure that separates the inside of the cell from the wild world outside. And that is the ultimate gatekeeper, the plasma membrane.
And this membrane is not just a simple bag, far from it. If we look at a human red blood cell, for example, its membrane is 52% protein. That tells you something really important. These proteins are the active machinery of the gate itself. They're the channels, the pumps, and the sensors that control everything that happens at the cell's border.
The way we understand this structure is called the fluid mosaic model. Now, I want you to think less of a solid wall and more like the surface of a bubble. The lipids form this fluid layer, and the big protein molecules are just kind of floating around in it, almost like boats on a sea. And this fluidity is absolutely key. It lets the cell move, change shape, and even repair itself.
So what is the membrane's most important job? Well, it's something called selective permeability. This is that gatekeeper function in action. The membrane is incredibly picky. It actively and intelligently decides what gets to come in and what has to stay out. This super strict regulation is what allows the cell to maintain the perfect, stable internal environment that life absolutely depends on.
Which really brings us to a final, humbling thought. Think about it. Every single process that we define as life, eating, breathing, moving, thinking, it all happens inside these microscopic, self-contained units. It makes you realize that you aren't really a single thing. You're a massive, coordinated community, a symphony of trillions and trillions of cells, all working together in perfect harmony.